So it's going to be Al and OH. It's going to be Al and OH thrice, right? That's what aluminum hydroxide is. And then you have this other one, which is product kya banega? What did I tell you last time? Last time I told you, honey, pehle to water, theek hai? I told you that the H and the OH are going to combine and they're going to form water. Okay? That's what an acid-base reaction is. So they're going to form water, right? So water will be produced. Whatever is left is your salt. So what's left? What's left is nitrate, NO3, and aluminium. These are the two things that are left. So that is going to be your salt. It's going to be aluminium and NO3, right? Now aluminium is group 3, so that's +3, and NO3 is -1. So it's so if I do crisscross, the formula kya banega? It's going to be NO3 thrice, right? Aluminium once and NO3 thrice, right? So that will be the formula of the salt that is produced. Next one, let's try and do the next one. Sulfuric acid. What is sulfuric acid? That's that's H2SO4. Memorize this. It should be on your fingertips. H2SO4. What is calcium hydroxide? This one you have to make. Calcium is group 2, so that's +2. Hydroxide is OH and it's got a charge of 1-, right? So it's going to be Ca and OH twice, right? So OH twice ho jayega. And these two are going to react. So it's an acid-base reaction. Remember this, it's an acid-base reaction. Because when we talked about bases, what were bases? They were hydroxides and they were oxides. Examples, we're doing this example for acids, the one that have H+1 in them, and bases which have oxide or hydroxide in them, right? So salt and water is going to be produced again. So think of it this way, the H will combine with the OH and together they will form the water. Water ban gaya. Achha, what two ions are left? What is left is calcium and sulfate, right? So it's going to be calcium and SO4. What's the charge on calcium? It's group 2. Group 2 is +2. And what is the charge on SO4? That's -2. So it's going to be, agar crisscross karoge, the calcium will be twice and SO4 will also be twice, but the 2 will get cancelled out. So it's just going to be calcium sulfate. That's it. Okay, that will be the formula. And in the formulas, you don't write the charges. Okay. So that's your equation. Last one, phosphoric acid and sodium oxide. So what's phosphoric acid? That's H3PO4 plus what's sodium oxide? Sodium
Na2O.
Oxygen जो क्या होता है वो क्या होता है 2- होता है, ठीक है. So it's going to be Na, ठीक है. That's going to be Na2O. And the H and the O will combine to form water. They're going to combine to form H2O. And remember, none of these equations are balanced. We don't care about balanced equations at the moment. Okay? None of them are balanced. We'll try and balance them. So I got H2O. And what is left? Sodium and PO4, right? So the salt is going to be sodium and PO4. Now sodium is +1 and PO4 is -3. So it's going to be Na. It's going to be Na3PO4. That's going to be the salt. You can remember crisscross. I'll do a couple of more reactions and then we can move to the second equation. Let's do a fourth reaction. Let's talk about barium oxide with hydrochloric acid. So hydrochloric acid, what is the formula of hydrochloric acid?
HCl.
That's HCl. That's H+1 and Cl -1, right? And what's barium oxide? Barium oxide is barium is group
B8.
2,
Oh,
so +2. Oxygen is group 6, -2. So there's no point doing the crisscross because the 2 and 2 will get cancelled out. Okay, so it's just going to be barium oxide. Achha, how will you make the salt? Sorry, water will be produced when H and O combine, right? So that makes up water. What is the other stuff that's left?
barium chloride.
You get barium and chlorine, right? So it's going to be, the salt is going to be barium and chlorine, right? So barium is +2 and chlorine group 7, that's -1, right? So it's going to be Ba and Cl2, right? That's what the salt will be. Okay. So Raish, वो मैं बताता हूँ, ठीक है? I'll message you after this class, ठीक है? I'll talk to you after this class. I'll say I've recordings for all the previous lectures as well, okay? So I'll tell you that there are actually 4 or 5 lectures that you've missed for this one. So we can have a discussion right after this, okay? So let's do one more, 5th equation, okay? As remember, most equations would be exactly the same. You just have to do this, kind of almost the same. अब कर लेते हैं कि let's say I've got nitric acid, that's HNO3, and let's react it with iron 3 hydroxide. Iron 3 hydroxide means Fe is 3 plus and hydroxide is OH1 minus, right? So the formula, if you do crisscross, that's going to be Fe and OH thrice, right? So that's going to be Fe and OH thrice. So what do we do with this? The H and the OH will combine to form water, right? So they'll combine to form H2O. What is the salt that's going to be produced? The salt is going to be
Iron nitrate.
nitrate.
FeNO3.
Fe and NO3, right? It's Fe and NO3. They'll combine to form the salt. Fe is +3 and NO3 is -1. So it's going to be FeNO3 thrice. Okay, that's it. So you get your salt. So that's the first equation. Now the rest of the reactions are also going to be very similar. Okay, so we did a lot of practice for this one. I'll give you more questions. Remember, you have to. The more you practice, the more you sort of fingertips pe aata rahega. You'll know what a nitrate is. It's NO3 -1. So this is, you'll know what a carbonate is. It's CO3 -2. So this is the first equation that we did. Now we're going to move towards the second equation, which is kind of going to be almost the same. Not much of a difference in the second one. अच्छा, so ये काम करो कि राइश उस पे ना प्लीज लिखो, ये मैं डिलीट कर देता हूँ. नहीं, how did you write this, by the way? ये कहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है? नहीं, is it, did you do it on Zoom or did you? One second. Clear कहाँ से होगा? Or did you do it on the board? सही से annotate वाला.
ऑप्शन था ना पहले.
हाँ, ठीक है, मैंने हटा दिया. नहीं, मैं समझा, मुझे लगा कि बोर्ड के ऊपर आपने कर दिया. So this one. स्क्रीन नजर आ रही थी इससे पहले आप लोगों को? So anyways, let's try and do the second equation. Okay, so we're going to try and do the second equation. Okay, just make sure कि अच्छा राइश आपके लिए ठीक है, just make sure कि you know कि the formulas of the acids and the formula of these ions. ठीक है, that's supposed to be known. ठीक है, ये मैंने I've sent the link on the board. You can separately open the same board in a different tab if you click on that link. So equation number 2. which is almost the same. Equation number 2. So equation number 2 is when a metal reacts with an acid, it produces salt. I say it produces salt plus H2. So reaction number 2, metal plus acid produces. I say it produces salt plus H2 gas. So I said now it's not a base reaction, it's just an acid. Let's take any acid. Let's take HCl, hydrochloric acid, HCl. Okay, I'm doing the first example. Now I've got the metal. Let's say I've got Mg metal, right? So what did I tell you? When a metal reacts with an acid, it produces a salt plus H2 gas. So H2 gas na वैसी जाके लिख लो, just write H2 gas because it's going to be produced. So that means the H changes into H2 gas. Whatever is left is the salt. So what is left? Mg and Cl are left, right?
Magnesium chloride.
Okay, the H went and it ended up forming the hydrogen gas. So Mg is group 2, so that's +2. Cl is group 7, so that's -1. So the formula of this salt is going to be MgCl2. That's the reaction. So it's kind of a similar reaction. Any metal reacting with an acid. So let's say aluminium reacts with sulfuric acid. That's H2SO4. Mike, mute karo, please. Use the space bar when you. Actually, use the space bar. Naila, your mic is on. So Naila, I'll also have a discussion with you after the class. Okay, so this one, we've got aluminium with sulfuric acid. So you've got what is going to be produced? Salt plus hydrogen gas, right? So hydrogen gas is going to be produced.
And aluminum sulfate.
Okay, so that means the H ends up forming the hydrogen gas, and what's left is the salt. That's aluminium and sulfate. It's Al and SO4. But you would have to do the crisscross. Aluminium is group 3, so that's +3. SO4 is -2. So it's going to be Al2, and SO4 will be thrice. Okay, that's it. What about, let's say, potassium with phosphoric acid? That's H3PO4. And that's H3PO4. So what's going to be produced? It's going to be, salt plus hydrogen gas produce the hydrogen gas. So that means the H turned into hydrogen gas, and what's left is your salt. So that's K and PO4. Now K is +1 and PO4 is -3, so it's going to be K3PO4. If you do crisscross, it's going to be K3PO4. That's going to be your salt. Or beach, I'll just add a plus sign over here. You clear? Is this reaction clear? Metal plus acid produces salt plus H2. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Had, is this clear, Ayan? Urva, clear hai? Zaria? Yes or no? Is this clear? As I'll just do a couple of more. Let's say we've got calcium reacting with nitric acid, HNO3. So what is going to be produced? It's going to be the H will turn into H2 gas, and whatever left is the salt. That's calcium and nitrate. Nitrate is -1, calcium is group 2, so that's +2, so it's going to be Ca and NO3 twice. That's the salt. So Let's now move to equation number 3. Okay, so we're done with this equation. Now equation number 3 will be almost very similar. You have to do the same thing. Let's say equation number 3. So now equation number 3 is a metal carbonate so it reacts with an acid and it produces so this one produces salt and water and carbon dioxide. Okay, that's the reaction. A metal carbonate reacts with an acid to produce salt, water, and carbon dioxide. And the first idea there, so like, although we right now the task is just to learn how to make an equation. We're not doing any understanding of what is happening in the reaction, right? There's no background. We just want to make an equation. You just need to know what an acid is. Metal reacts with it. So if I show you a reaction, let's say a metal magnesium with an acid. I won't be able to show the video because it's going to lag a lot, but so here you can see this one is like a good example. So if you look at this one, let's go. How do you put image up here? As if you check this reaction out. So you can see that there's a piece of magnesium. It's reacting with the acid. So this entire thing is acid. The thing that you're observing is bubbles of H2 gas that are getting produced. We just made this reaction. Ye pehla reaction. It's magnesium reacting with hydrochloric acid. What the magnesium did was the H got knocked out. It ended up producing H2 gas. That's why you're seeing all the bubbles that you see over here. You're seeing a lot of bubbles. Okay, that's you either call them bubbles in chemistry or agar paper mein likhna hai, you can also call it effervescence. Okay, so I'll write this down. It's like Coke bubbles, right? If you take Pepsi and you pour it in a glass, there's a lot of bubbles forming, right? So the bubbles are for the formation of H2 gas. There's going to be a lot of effervescence seen. Okay, because it's not like it's like Sprite or Coke, right? It's with the bubbles coming out, right? So there's a specific term that's used for this, and that specific term is effervescence. Okay, or you can also use bubbles, but a lot of times they use the word effervescence. Okay, so the magnesium will slowly dissolve into magnesium chloride. This entire metal piece, this ribbon over here, it's like a wire, it's like a copper, it's a metallic ribbon, and that will slowly over time dissolve. And that is what's going to happen. So all metal plus acid reactions kind of look like this. Okay, so all of them, potassium ko agar water phosphoric acid mein dalo, you're going to get bubbles of H2 gas. I said, moving on to carbonates now. First thing, what is a carbonate? Which ion is a carbonate? Kya formula? What is the formula of a carbonate ion? We should remember this. Yeah, what's the formula of a carbonate? Anyone? क्या चीज है, क्या फॉर्मूला है? उर्वा यान ठीक है, if you go back to this part, ठीक है, which one is the carbonate ion? Carbonate is this one. It's CO3 and the charge on this ion is -2. ठीक है, that's what a carbonate is. So if we go back, So if we go back all the way, so I'm going to make this reaction, and this reaction will be kind of a similar reaction. It's going to be very similar. It's so metal carbonate. You've got a metal, and it's going to be next to a carbonate. That's CO3 minus 2. Let's start with any metal carbonate. Let's say magnesium, sodium carbonate. Sodium is +1, and carbonate is -2, right? So if you do crisscross, what is the formula? It's going to be Na2CO3, or CO3 1. You don't have to write 1, so you can kind of ignore that. So this is Na2CO3, and you react it with let's say any acid. Let's react it with HCl. So what will happen? A carbonate with an acid is going to produce salt. It's going to produce water, and it's going to produce carbon dioxide gas as well. Okay, all of this stuff is going to get produced. So अब इसके अंदर, what will you do? Remember the H from the acid and the carbonate, they combine to form all of this, water and carbon dioxide. What is left? That's your salt. Na and Cl are the ones that are left. Okay, so that's going to be your salt. Na is +1, Cl is -1. So your salt is just NaCl. Okay, so in this case, now all you have to think about it is that the H and the CO3, they turn into water and carbon dioxide. I mean, the H combines with the oxygen over here, turns into water, and the carbonate turns into carbon dioxide. This is what happens. And the remaining ions, they turn into your salt. Let's do another one. Okay, you've got magnesium carbonate. So magnesium is +2 and carbonate is -2. So you don't have to do crisscross in this case. So let's react it with nitric acid. That's HNO3. What will be produced? Carbonate with acid will produce water and carbon dioxide. Okay, so that means the H and the CO3 are gone. Okay, so that's what's left. It's okay, so magnesium and NO3 are the things that are left, and that's your salt. So it's going to be Mg and NO3, but Mg is +2. Group 2, it's in group 2, and NO3 is -1. So it's going to be Mg and NO3 twice. Okay, because Mg is +2. So और कुछ कर लो कि you've got let's say aluminum carbonate, that's Al and CO3. Carbonate is -2, Al is +3. So doing crisscross will result in twice aluminum and thrice carbonate, right? So that's going to be the formula of this thing. And then you're going to react it, and when you react it with what acid? Let's pick sulfuric acid. So let's pick H2SO4. So again, it's going to produce salt, water, and carbon dioxide. So that means the carbonate is gone, and the H and the carbonate, they've ended up forming water and carbon dioxide. What is left? Al and SO4. So Al and SO4 are left. Al is +3. SO4 is -2, so it's going to be Al2 and SO4. SO4 will be thrice. Okay, so Al2 and SO4 thrice. That's what your salt is going to be. So you clear it. Just remember that this number over here, you get it from crisscross, right? Like this. Don't worry about this. Okay, like if I do a reaction, so let's say I've got calcium carbonate, which is calcium and carbonate is +2, -2. इसका formula यही होगा. It's going to be CaCO3, that's it. And I reacted with phosphoric acid, that's H3PO4. And I'm going to try and figure out what the product is. Water and carbon dioxide will be produced automatically. What is the salt that is going to be produced? The salt that will be produced is going to be, okay, the carbonate and the H are gone. They found water and carbon dioxide. And C and PO4 are the only things left, right? So remember this, okay, I'm going to bring in C and PO4 and join them together, right? The number of Cs and the number of PO4 is determined by the charge. If this is +2 and this is -3, so it's going to be 3 Cs and twice PO4. So just remember, it has no relationship with this. We're not making balanced equation. The formula is always just going to be made by doing crisscross. So you have a reaction clear. They're all very similar. We've done 3 reactions, equations. All you have to do is you just have to do crisscross. Okay? That's pretty much it. That's what you have to do. So I'm just going to repeat everything. It's so the first reaction was the first one that we did. It was an acid and a base reaction. The acid and the base. The base was the one with OH ions or oxide ions, right? So the OH and H will combine to form water, and whatever is left is the salt. The OH and H will combine to form water, and calcium and sulfate are left, that's your salt. The oxide, the O and the H will combine to form water, and N and PO4 are left, you do crisscross, and that's your salt. And then we did this second reaction where you had a metal reacting with an acid. That will produce salt plus H2, not H2O. So the H changes to H2, and whatever is left is your salt. Aluminium and SO4, that's going to be formed, and the H turned into H2. Okay, that's what's going to happen. And in the third reaction, the carbonate reaction, you take any metal carbonate reacted with the acid. The H and the CO3 will combine to form water and carbon dioxide, right? And whatever ions Cl and Na are left, that's going to be your salt. Okay. So they're very, very similar reactions. But remember, for a carbonate, what will be produced is water and carbon dioxide. For a hydroxide, only water will be produced. When you have a metal, only hydrogen gas will be produced. So I'm just going to write reactions. ठीक है, काम में दे रहा हूँ. ठीक है, जितना practice करो, make sure you practice this, ठीक है, and make sure you submit the wrong answers. ठीक है, it's very important that if you submit wrong assignments, that's very important, because that's where we'll be able to identify your problems, ठीक है, and we can have extra classes on that for those who are getting it wrong only, ठीक है. So make sure, even if you do wrong, submit it. I said try and make the reaction of aluminium carbonate. So it's going to be salt, water, and carbon dioxide that's going to be produced. Aluminium carbonate with, let's say, hydrochloric acid. So then I want, so that's number 1. Number 2, I want potassium carbonate. And remember, for this specifically, practice. Okay? The only way you can permanently memorize what a carbonate is, you just practice a lot. Okay? So with phosphoric acid, number 3 is strontium. iron 3 carbonate. That means Fe3 plus with nitric acid. It'll all be kind of as a fifth. The more you practice, the better it is. Okay, so let's say sodium carbonate with nitric acid. So that's your next assignment. Okay, make sure you submit this. ये मैं ग्रुप पे भेज रहा हूँ, ठीक है? बोर्ड का लिंक मैंने पहले पेस्ट कर दिया.